Welcome to 908 ENT, the podcast. I'm your host, Sal Liberato. We're here to help you take another step towards success. Now let's get ready to learn the basics from the best. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning back in. Today, our special guest is Peter Badgley. Peter, thank you for coming on today.
Hey, Sal. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show today.
Thank you. So, Peter is the founder and COO of Upside. Upside offers a very unique housing solution for older adults. Instead of the traditional senior living, they offer an integrated housing approach that works differently. But, Peter can touch on this a little bit. Anybody can Google you or your business. So what would you really like our listeners to know about you?
Yeah, that's a perfect intro to start it off. You hit it on the nail on the head. Yeah, I'm the founder and COO at Upside. We're headquartered down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And essentially, exactly what Sal mentioned, we're in the business of helping older adults age in the right place. And that could be anywhere from home modification to making sure that their current home is retrofitted to their specs and that they're safe. It could be coming into one of our Upside units, which is just a fully managed apartment with a dedicated person to help them with their day-to-day lives. Or it could be helping the member themselves or their family members kind of navigate the traditional senior living approach. And we've been doing that for 4 years now. We've been partnering with some big health plans across the country, and it's been fantastic. And it's been a journey the past 4 years. And I guess personally, I have to make sure I get the plug here. I mean, I currently reside in Jupiter, Florida, with my wife, Erica, and my twin boys, Casey and Carmine, and they're coming up on a year old. So it's been a crazy ride the past year with newborns, but of course the past 4 years founding and starting Upside.
Yeah, that's super neat. So just to start off the show, what are the three simplest things that lead to success?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I have like a whole list at my office, but I think like the three most important things that lead to success, just based on all these books I've read and my own experiences going through life. But I think the most important thing to have is persistence. Without persistence, a lot of things just don't get done. And you have to, with persistence, the mentality of never giving up, embracing uncomfortable situations, and I think ultimately just learning from failure. That's going to bring you to that next level, and that's kind of been in my life, everything from being in the classroom, from the sports world, to then into the corporate world and starting my own business. Without persistence, you can't take that next step, and you can't get better as a person. So I think persistence is number one. I think number two is the ability to adapt. I think as we've seen the past 3 years, things in the world change extremely quick. And if you're not able to embrace that, again, going back to embracing discomfort and being able to adapt to certain situations, it's hard to find success. I started Upside literally 2 weeks before the world shut down. And I think well, I'm sure we'll get into the story later, but I mean, the fact that, like you get into a space with older adults, there's a big spotlight on this industry. Of course, with the world shutting down, COVID, and everything, I'm like, oh, what do we do now? I literally just quit my job. I was extremely comfortable. I had a set runway of how much time I have to essentially live on my savings and kind of get Upside started. So it could be a scary thing. So if you're not able to adapt, I think that my path to where I am today could have went a different way. And I think, and then the third thing to kind of put the bow on it is having a positive attitude. If you don't have a positive attitude given on certain situations, again, you can't, that can really, if you have a negative mindset, that's going to impact your success right off the bat. So having that positive mindset, and of course, surrounding yourself with people that have that positive attitude, that's going to, again, separate you from others. So especially going back to starting Upside 2 weeks, before the world shutting down, and of course going through it. If it wasn't for my family and it wasn't for Erica and Erica's family, there's no shot Upside would be where it is today. So surrounding yourself with positive attitude, having positive attitude yourself, you have to have.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like your business definitely, just from like looking at your website and everything, it definitely just seems like it has a positive feel and vibe about it. So that definitely,
Yeah.
comes across.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, just with the plug with Upside, it's personal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like if we're lucky enough, we're all going to get old one day. And I just, from my business partner Jake Rothstein, we've gone through it personally, and to see our grandparents and our parents get older, and just like, hey, what's like that next step of a living situation, and are we aging in the right place? Are we going to be living our best life? I guess it's corny to say, like, how can we make it better, right? Jake and I built Upside not just for our grandparents and our parents and all our older adult loved ones, but we're also building for ourselves. So, like what can we do every single day that's going to make a positive impact? So just having that as like your foundation. I mean, why build anything negative? Why explore negativity? Let's just try to make something better. Just exactly what you said, having that positivity goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%. So can you share a moment or experience that inspired you to pursue your career, basically to start Upside?
Yeah. So I think it's like when you take the moment to look back at the journey, it's funny like how life works, right? I mean, I started off right out of school, it was almost like the norm, and I'm sure we'll get into this more. But you go get a job, you get a degree in finance, you move back to New Jersey, New York area, you get a finance role, whatever it may be. So I had that back office analyst role. And then after that, I moved to Miami. I took a sales job just to gain some experience there. And then there was an instance after that sales job, I proposed to Erica, and she goes, I think it was maybe shortly after, like maybe like a month or two, she goes like, what's like our 5-year plan? Like, are you going to continue the sales job? Like, what's next? Are you become like a director, VP, blah, blah, blah? Are you going to go to another company? Like, what's next? And I just vividly remember her asking me that question. I'm like, you know what? Like, I've always like had this entrepreneur spirit. I always knew like I wanted to work for myself, and I didn't want to continue going up like this corporate ladder and just working for somebody else. So I remember when she asked me, I'm like, you know what? I'm not the guy that's like, I don't have the creative mindset, but I'm gonna find somebody that does, and I'm gonna latch onto it. I'm gonna say yes to that. To that proposition, and I'm like, if I like the idea, I'm going to take that calculated risk, and I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to join it. We're going to build that thing together. So I'm going to find somebody that's creative. So I'd say maybe it's just, again, I got to go back to like how it's funny that life works. So my business partner now, Jake Rothstein, he was a founder of another startup in South Florida that helps older adults with loneliness. They pair them up with a college student, and that college student goes over and provides a slight task. So it was almost like the Uber for grandchildren. So he was doing that job, and he's a hustler. He's doing that job, and then he would also be working the sales job with us just to just have a level of income, and also of course learn some operational experience. Like he's a director of a big team. There's like 75 plus people that he was in charge of. And he goes, I was always fascinated with the Uber for grandchildren. The company's called Papa. I'm like, it's just really cool, like how he started, and of course, like where it was when he was pitching it to me. So he brings me in this back conference room. It was like a slow day one day, and he brings up this PowerPoint, and he starts whiteboarding all this stuff, and it was the foundation of Upside. I'm like, wow, like, that's like a really cool idea. Like, so like, what is this? Like, is this going to be like a new company? He goes like, hey, what are you asking me? Like, why are you bringing me in here? He goes, Peter, like, I think you're fantastic. Like, I've seen you grow the past 4 years at this job, and I think you're the guy that's going to help me kind of get this thing operationalized and get it off the ground. I'm like, wow, I'm honored. So do you want to join me? And it's just funny because like literally Erica asked me like a month ago of like what our 5-year plan was, and me telling her I'm going to find somebody that's got a fantastic idea. I'm going to say, yeah, so here it is in front of me. And I'm like, okay, like, do I do this? So instead of me just being impulsive and just saying like yes right off the bat, I'm like, oh, I'll be a little bit more responsible here. I mean, let me take this back. Let me go talk to Erica. and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. He goes, yeah, of course, like take your time. So I remember I was with Erica. I'm telling her, she goes like, well, that's really cool. Like, okay, like, you know, like maybe you should like go talk to my dad. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'd love to get your dad's thoughts on this. Like, I mean, he's a pretty established person in the business world. And no, I'm about to marry his daughter, so I'm going to take care of her for the rest of my life. So I better be going on a journey that's going to support his daughter. So I'm like, I think getting his blessing would be a great idea. So I remember going to him and pitching him this. It was a really crappy PowerPoint, and like, you know, I had some knowledge of it, but I presented him the opportunity and like where it could go. And of course, like Jake's success at the other company, Papa. And as soon as we got done talking about it, he goes like, quit your job. And I'm like, what? He goes,
awesome.
Go quit your job. So I literally went in like the next day and I quit my job.
Wow.
And the rest is kind of history. So after quitting, Jake then quit. We just embarked on this full time. And of course it's been a journey, right?
That's awesome.
So launching a company in early 2020 to know where it is today and just navigating just different adversity. It's been awesome. So to answer your question, I mean, that moment of, you know, like there's different life moments of, you know, just for where you think like coming, like, you know, going through high school, going to college, and just going a route where you think it's traditional and it's like the right thing to do, to then where I am today. Never in a million years did I think I'd be a founder of like it's essentially a healthcare company now. So it's just crazy how life works, and saying yes to different opportunities it's been awesome.
Yeah. And asking what's next. I feel like that's a constant with a lot of people like that are going to the next level or trying to find what the next thing is. Like always having to ask that question is kind of what helps lead to it as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I give big credit to my wife Erica on that. I mean, it's that's her personality, and I think that's what makes us great. And her being like able to, you know, stoke the fire a little bit of like, you know, just so I don't get caught doing the same thing and following the flow. You know, I think she does a fantastic job of, and you need somebody in your life like that. I think it's important to be able to, like you said, to, hey, what's next? And it's been life-changing ever since.
That's amazing. So can you share a valuable lesson that you've learned from, whether that was before Upside or kind of just in the process or running it now?
Yeah, you know, I think it kind of like alludes back to like it kind of gets into the story of how I got to Upside. And I think a lesson that I've learned in life is there's open door decisions and then there's closed door decisions. And in reality, most decisions that we make daily are open door, but you just don't realize it. You almost sometimes think like, oh, if I make this decision, it's a closed door, and like there's no reversing it. Yeah. But that's like you could say or do something, but you know, in most cases, if the decision's right, that's fantastic. But if it's not, you can always course correct and go through that door, right? That's what the whole metaphor of open door and closed door decisions. Like if you go through the open door decisions, is like, okay, I can say or do something, but also knowing that if it was the wrong one, I can go through that door, you know? And I think people have to realize, and I've realized, that most decisions I make are calculated, knowing that I can always go back through that door. But so what I've learned from it is, you know, coming out of college and going outside the norm, you know, I thought that was like a closed door decision. Like if I didn't go to college and get a degree in finance, just like everybody else was doing, I was following like, okay, like my roommates are getting a degree in finance or economics. Okay, I have to do that. And then as soon as you graduate, you get that degree in finance. Like if you don't go back to New York, like you're not going to be successful. Yeah. So that's what I did. I didn't like go outside the norm. And I don't think, I don't think I missed out on anything, because until a friend reached out, which was only like a year into it of working in New York City in this finance role, saying he had a buddy that was down in South Florida at this tech company. He's looking for young sales reps. And as soon as he said that, New York isn't going anywhere. Like, go learn, go have fun, go explore. I'm like, boom, there's your open door decision. Like New York is not going anywhere. So why not, right? I'm 22 years old. These back office financial analyst roles aren't going anywhere. I could always go back to, but I'm 22 once, and I'm not like before you start having families and getting too serious with real life responsibilities. Go have fun. So I think that's exactly what I did. I embarked on that opportunity. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And I was dating Erica at the time, and her being able to come down with me and leave her job in New York. We had the same mentality, which was, again, I think it's life changing. So to understand that there's these decisions you make in life, and knowing that most of them are open door, if you understand and take those calculated risk, I guess, so to say. It's just, you have to know that most of them are open door. There's very few decisions you make that are closed door that are that you can't reverse. There are some, right? But I think when you especially early on in your career, and I think people have to embrace that there's lots of different options out there, and it's not just what you expect it to be.
Yeah. I mean, you take a job, or if you want to start a business or do this, do that, like, you're not locked into anything. You could just stop tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just to that point too, I mean, just going outside the norm and just being true to yourself. And I love my friends, but I remember when I one was going to leave New York and go down to Florida. There was what are you doing? And then of course, hey, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start my own business. Why are you going to make a living? Yeah. And I'm just but they were stuck. I think they were it's just what we grew up with. Right? I was a part of that as well. So understanding that there's just so much more out there. And there's lots of paths to success. But you have to be willing to commit to it and take a chance. I think it pays off. And I think it's just been the biggest lesson of what I've been part of so far.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have a favorite quote, motto, kind of mantra, anything that you like, whether that's you or the business?
Yeah. I'm one of those people. I'm sure all my coworkers are oh, Peter's the big quote guy. He slacks a bunch of different quotes. But I think the most one I always go back to the most, especially being an entrepreneur, is a quote from Mark Twain that the secret of getting ahead is getting started. You just have to get started. You have to say yes. You have to. I think most people have these fantastic ideas, but where they fall short is they just don't take that next step to actually doing it. You got to do it. If you don't do it, then nothing ever happens, and then you stay where you are. So having that, I know it's probably easier said than done, and it probably does take a certain personality. But if you do want to get ahead, and you do want to just not give up and get ahead, is just get going on something. And again, most of it's open door. You can get something going. You can still work your 9-to-5 job or whatever you're doing, and have this hustle. And then one day it's just going to take off. So it's just having that persistence to keep going.
Yeah, 100%.
And that which brings it back to what are the 3 things that lead to success. I think the persistence is part of it.
Yeah, and that definitely ties right in. So this is our first this or that question. So does hard work beat talent, or does talent beat hard work?
Yeah, so I mean, you've known me for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure I know your answer, but we gotta ask it anyway.
I think this is easy, and you got to play a long game. Hard work will always beat talent. I'm a firm believer of that, and I think I'm a living, breathing example of that as well. I wasn't the smartest guy in the classroom. I wasn't the most athletic, but you can attest to this, and I'm sure lots of other people can. I was the hardest working person in the room. I was one of them. I'll go that extra mile. I'll study from the best. I'll put the extra time in. And I think that hard work will always pay off. And I believe I did, from my on the field experiences athletically to the classroom, to down the workforce. I will, surround myself with really smart people. I will keep learning every single day. And I'll do whatever it takes, to be the best. And I think that to answer your question, yes, I think, hard work will always be talent, especially in Laura. I think, that's super important for people to understand.
I mean, that's a constant with what everybody talks about, whether that is business, sports, kind of anything.
It all relates.
I don't think anybody said talent. So
That's good. So, all right.
yeah, like I said, I known you, so I definitely would know your answer, but still gotta ask it anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could tie this into athletics too, or just your business. What's the best way to overcome an obstacle or setback?
I think you can't be afraid of failure. I
Mm-hmm.
think you have to embrace it. I think it can be hard for people to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say like embrace failure, don't be afraid of failure. Like you can't succumb to it. Sometimes people will crawl up and it's just like, okay, like you're done, and like they'll never try something ever again, or they'll never, whatever it may be. People can succumb to it, but as soon as you embrace it, and the key is that you learn from it,
Mm-hmm.
and you commit to just getting like 1% better each day, gosh, you can get through anything.
Yeah.
Which I think is what is like the most important. So not being afraid of the failure. There's gonna be lots of obstacles. There's gonna be lots of setbacks in life. Gosh, I can't like I can spend all day talking about every single setback and obstacle that we've had at Upside, but then also just like personally in life. And if you succumb to those setbacks and you get in that negative mindset, like you're screwed. So being able to just embrace a failure and learn from it, gosh, that's going to separate you from so many people in this world.
Yeah. So how do you think being lacrosse goalies helped you with that? I mean, you did play, elite lacrosse in the high school level and at Division I. So you think that has had any help to it as well?
Yeah, going back to the glory days, absolutely.
I had to ask it.
The mindset to be a goalie at any level, gosh, if I just sat there, I'm like, gosh, that goal that this went through, and I let that kind of just bleed into my brain, I'd be the worst goalie in the world. I probably wouldn't have made it to playing at the Division I level. So always just like water on their bridge. It's the next one. It's that next play. Where am I going to do this next play? And having that mentality, not just like in the play, but then also in the weight room, but then also in the film room. And it's just going that extra mile and just learning from like, okay, like all these goals went through, or I didn't make the pass, or I didn't know like this play, and just learning and just committing to getting better each day. That was a big component to playing goalie, and then making it from the youth level to the Division I level. I think is what kind of made me get to that level, I guess, so to say.
Yeah, 100%. So what do you think is more important, passion or motivation?
I think it's passion. Both are super. You need both, but without passion, gosh, it can be really hard. And I see it every single day, and I've had it ever since from just growing up as a kid to where I am today, 30 years old with my own family. And I have like this quote that like passion fuels the fire within. Passion will have the ability to transform ordinary moments to extraordinary journeys. And I've seen things without passion, and it's just not the same versus somebody with passion. I think like Steve Jobs also has like a quote out there, just like you got to do something you love, and you don't have like the passion, it's just everything falls flat. So I think like if, in terms of finding your happiness and finding success, you need passion. And you got to find a way to find it. And I think that's a super key thing to have in life.
Yeah, 100%. So how do you stay updated or continue to learn? Any like books, trainings, podcasts, videos that like you do personally, or like you guys do with your team, or what do you guys kind of do?
It's everything. I mean, I think just being a founder of a company and putting yourself like in this leadership role, especially as a person, like when I started the company, I was 27 years old, and you surround yourself with people that are older and more experienced than you. I got to do everything I can to keep up. And, it's books, it's podcasts, it's newsletters, it's connecting with industry experts. It's listening to people that are on your own team that have had experience, and surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And I think that's like super important. You have to be willing to do so. Einstein has the quote that the moment you stop learning, you start dying. And that couldn't be more true. So always learning, making yourself smarter, and then also like just making like other people smarter as well. Being an industry expert, that's awesome. And you can only get there from books and from podcasts and learning from other people. And just like, again, I'm in the Upside, and I'm this founder of this company. It's different from day one to where it is right now. We're this healthcare company. And the fact that we're getting invited to conferences and speaking engagements and think tanks of being industry experts is all because of what my business partner and I do with just educating ourselves and immersing ourselves in this industry, and we just can't stop learning.
Yeah, that's neat. So then, even tying it back into sports too, like being a captain of a team, how does that help you like lead people in the business today?
Yeah, I think my trait. There's lots of different traits of leaders. And of course, like captains, like of teams, and like Sal, just because like me, I wasn't like the rah guy. I wasn't like just like your typical like, wow, that guy's a leader. I think my strong suit, and especially since it's translated today, is I'm going to listen. And I think just being a really good listener and understanding what your teammates are saying or your employees are saying, and what other people are saying, like being able to have that listening trait. Is going to separate you from a lot of different people, because the people that aren't leaders are not great listeners. So being able to be a great listener that's going to separate you from a lot of different people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's one final piece of advice you would give our listeners to help them take another step towards success?
Yes, I think I said a couple of times. I think it's important for people to understand that the path to success is never linear. You have to embrace the discomfort. You have to be okay with failing. But as long as you learn from it and you just keep going, gosh, the sky is the limit. And again, if you have that passion, I think that's what's gonna help people find their version of success. And just know it's not like the movies. It's not like even some books and like podcasts. I think like sometimes like you read and you watch certain things like, wow, like that company just took off. Like that's like so cool. It looks so easy. But they never tell you the nitty gritty of it. It's never like this straight line. It's squigglies and it goes all over the place before you find like that true success. And I'm in it right now. I think like maybe from the outside world, people are like, wow, look at Upside. But it takes a lot of hard work, takes a lot of grit. And I got the best team in the entire world figuring out a really big problem. And it's just the journey is awesome, and just embracing it is the coolest part. So just know the path to success is not linear. It's not what you see in the movies. It's not what you see on shows and books. So just embrace it.
Yeah, that's great advice for everybody kind of to close the show out. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Peter. This has been very insightful.
Thanks, Sal. That was a pleasure, and it's fun to talk about. I think before the show started, it's like I listen to all these podcasts about people talking about like their journey. So to have the opportunity to do it with you, I feel honored to share my story with your podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And if anybody wants to connect, feel free to reach out. And Peter, what's the best way if anybody wants to reach out to you to connect?
Yeah, I'm super active on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I think that's probably the best way. I think my email's on it, so feel free to look me up on LinkedIn.
Okay, and I'll put everything in the show notes too. Thanks, Peter.
Awesome. Thank you, Sal.